Hi, everybody. Hopefully, I am now live and it's working. Um, Absolutely would love it if somebody could leave some brilliant thank you. Now, at the moment, what I can see with regards to chat is just a thing called Facebook user with this particular software. So, hello. Um, Please do let me know if you can actually hear me. It would be great. And then I know the mic's working. Right, lovely. So, can everyone hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? I don't want to keep saying that because it sounds really weird if I keep going, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Brilliant. Thank you, Sandrine. That's brilliant. Yes, I can see the names when it's when you're on YouTube actually, but I can't see the names on Facebook. Now the other software that I used the last time, it was the opposite way around. So I don't know. That's why I'm trying out these different softwares, I guess. So that's the reason coming live and not doing too much of an advertisement. You know, I didn't sort of send out a newsletter or anything. So happy Halloween, everyone. And I just really wanted to get to try out this software, see whether it works, still playing around with this whole live thing. And this software was supposed to enable me to use two cameras. And then apparently that isn't being implemented until later in November. So I didn't know that. Ah, yes. Yeah, exactly. Don't I just love technology? Oh, there's so much to learn. So, what's happened since I last went live? Well, I don't know if you've seen the post, but I'm really pleased to have been included in Notions, which is a Canadian publication, and it's absolutely fabulously chock full of wonderful, inspiring things. Now, this is available from, I'll actually get the website here for you, Uppercase Publishing, so uppercasemagazine.com. And they do have, I assume it's like a drop shipper. So that also sort of, you can get it for not too crazy money, as I understand it, with regards to shipping, because they use a drop shipper. So I'm really pleased with that. Really chuffed to have been included, and it's a really nice article. So OBS Studios. Ah, right. I'm writing that down. Another one to try. I've got to, haven't I? Hello. Lovely to see you all. Anyways, thank you. Really nice that everybody is stopping by. So that's the first bit of news. Second bit of news. I don't know if you've seen it, but there are quite a few of us who are the independent suppliers who used to be on Create and Craft, which of course is no more. And we've started up a new Facebook page where you'll be able to see long-term a schedule of lives, any special offers, and so on, so that you can go direct, and perhaps if you're watching TV, you'll be able to check that way. And that group is called Craft Suppliers Direct. And I'll put this on the little ticker here so that you can just see it and note it down. And that's, at the moment, it's a Facebook page. So, you don't have to join, you just have to like and follow it. And then there's going to be a YouTube. I understand that's already an Instagram that we can post to. And I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a couple of the other channel, TikTok, and a couple of the others, but I don't use that, so I think I might be a bit old for TikTok. So, but it'll be nice if you're missing sort of variety of crafts and you like to see a lot of different things, that you'll be able to check a schedule and check who's on. And we've got some ideas for next year as well, maybe some collaborations and so on. So it's definitely worth a follow. And see the people that you might otherwise be missing. So to catch up here on the comments, so thank you. As I was explaining when I first set in, if you're a Facebook user, at the moment I can only see that Facebook user. I can't actually see your name, so I'll need to find out about that one. Hello, Charlotte. Lovely to see you. Well, it's lovely to see your comments. Brilliant. So I suspect it'll be a little bit easier if you're watching on YouTube. I don't know. I guess that's all sort of down to what you most find convenient. So I thought, seeing as Halloween, that I am going to just sort of chat to you and work on a Yorkshire button pumpkin, hopefully. Of course, that will mean me turning my camera around. Right, that's interesting. Thank you. I wonder if my connection is a little bit odd today. Let's have a. My doesn't seem too hot, so I'm hoping that it isn't that. So that's very interesting, Sandrine. Thank you very much for that comment. That's really helped. Because obviously I have a problem in that I'm in the country. So I know that there will be times when I will have great plans and then the connection will completely go, and there's not a lot I can do about that. But it'd be interesting to know if it's actually the software or not. Now, let me see if I can perhaps get the mic up a bit. I'm not sure where I would do it on this one, funnily enough, because these things are sent to try me. Let's have a see. Now, but accordingly, the internet connection's not too bad. But I'm just going to plug in something and see if that makes a little bit of difference. Oh, hello, Aunt Panto. Fabulous. What is it this year? You'll have to let us know. Have you been roped in with costumes, or are you actually taking part in the panto as well? Right, so what I'm going to do is close your eyes if you get a little travel sick. I'm going to cover over the lens and turn the camera around because, as I said, their update isn't until November. Right. Haha, costumes and taking part. Oh, Peter Pan, that'll be brilliant. That will be a lot of fun anyways. So, as I said, I thought it's Halloween, let's make a pumpkin. So I'm going to use the Yorkshire button looms, and I'm using the Yorkshire buttons from our original Yorkshire button kit. So anyone who hasn't seen it, no, this way up, that would help. And that's what it looks like. And with that, you do have 6 tools, and you do have some thread and needle to start you out. Okay, I'm going to be mixing it up a little bit. I'm actually going to use pattern from the Yorkshire button book, but it's the woven vertical stripes, but I am not going to make stripes. I'm going to just weave it so that we get those nice ridges that are a little bit more pumpkin-like without being really in your face, as it were. For the spokes, I'm going to use this yarn. It's just a basic acrylic yarn. So I'm going to do the spokes and the covering differently, I think. This is how I've planned it in my head, but I have not tried it first. So you can just get to follow along. So the first things first, we need to actually warp up our loom. And as I always say when we're using the Yorkshire button, don't pull too tight at this section because it could make it difficult to actually get the finished piece off of the loom, and you don't really want to cut it. So I've come up through the center, looped around, and I'm not coming straight down, but I'm going off to the tab that's just a little over to the side. And then I'm coming up, and I'm skipping a tab and coming around. And I'll continue all of the way around, skipping the tab. Okay? Now, the reason that I skip a tab, you don't actually have to, you could go straight across, is that it forms a nice crossing at the center when you skip a tab. Now, I'm coming around now the next one, and I'm going to now start working in the opposite direction. Again, you don't have to, you could carry on around. It depends on the number of tabs each time, but as I said, I like to go, and that's the instructions that I give, is to go in one direction and then around the back, because you do get everything sort of gathered more closely at the center. And so because I am not going to use this for the covering, I now need to snip that off, and I'm going to take, I think that's actually possibly going to be a little bit large, so I'm going to take needle and pull that through the central hole. So let's see. All my great plans always go by the wayside when I'm looking for a needle. You should see what it's like on my pre-records. There we go. And I'm just going to take that through the center to get it to the back. Now I'm going to tie these two together as well, so that I can just get rid of it and it not be in my way. And I have to remember that I've got all the time in the world. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. One thing about doing lives on TV shopping is that we have to rush them, and I don't rush so much. So what I'm using here, and I'm really hoping I have enough, is a number 8 pearl cotton from Wonderful. Oh, that was the other thing to tell you. If any of you are in going to the Houston Quilt Festival, quilt show, which is happening like now, I think, over the next couple of days, the Wonderful stand should have my books if they found them. we delivered to the venue, and unfortunately, the box went missing. I haven't heard any more, so I'm really hoping that they were actually found. Yes, yeah, definitely, Sandrine. That is definitely the way forward. I am not lots of people are really good like that and put their needle on to their thread before they start even doing death's head buttons. And I am just not that organized, usually because I change my needles up. Yeah, but anyway, so if you're there, stop by the Wonderful stand and the button books are or should be there. Fingers crossed they have found the shipment. Right. So I'm just going to use a length. Now, because the original instructions said to do this sort of you do one row with one length of thread and one row with another length of thread. I think I'm going to continue to do that because I think this is ever such a slightly variegated. It's really hard to see. It's just really subtle. But that may give us some nice differences. So I'm going to actually thread up 2 needles for this, which is probably completely mental, but I'm still going to do it. Let's make sure it's a needle that's not going to stab me. And so that I can actually remember, on the first one, I've got a hook needle. I'm not sure if you're familiar with a hook needle. It's got a blunt end, and it's got ever such a slight curve at the bottom. We sell them on our website by Clover. I'm actually currently looking at having some made as well. And they're really nice when you're working Yorkshire buttons or the Grantham buttons and the basket weave, because it's just got a little bit of a curve there. But for the other one, I'm just going to use a regular tapestry needle. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring them both up from the center. Actually, let's do just the one first, just so I can get this established before I bring up 2 pieces. And I've split some of that core thread. It's going to add a little knot, and then hopefully that will just catch and pull through. Okay, so what we need to do, in theory, as I said, that this my great idea. We'll see if it actually works. So I'm going to weave over a double spoke. So under, over, under, over. That's all I'm going to do is weave. Now I've already got a kink started. Great. There we go. And what I'm going to do, because this is a fine thread, and I could be here all night otherwise, is I'm actually going to do each row twice, if that makes sense. Just smoothing this out, getting it all established at the center. So a row exactly the same, just so that it doubles up this thread. Really, a number 5 or 3 would also work. You'd get obviously a chunkier effect. But I wanted to use this ever so slightly variegated, and I have it in number 8. Now let's see. Yes, we're very, very lucky. Sue Spargo does stock our books, and if you go to our website and scroll down to the bottom, there is a page that it says Overseas Stockists. We've got Canada, we've got the United States, we've got someone in the Netherlands at the moment, and soon have someone in Australia. So in the Thread Studio in Perth. So really nice. Obviously, they don't, stock our complete ranges, but just about all of those stockists will have the book, and most will have the Yorkshire button kits. So you can sort of have a go, and it is less shipping. It's really nice. I have a lot of needles that are bent with you, Sandrine, and they are perfect. Right, so now I'm going to bring up the second color. Only, of course, it isn't a color. I'm just going to bring that up. It's just pulled up the other thread. That's okay. It doesn't matter. And then what I'm going to do is I want to now, if you can see, which I realize it's not the best doing orange on orange, but hopefully if I tilt the light just enough. So now I'm going to do the same 2 rows, but over the opposite, the ones I haven't covered. So over, under, like so. And I'm hoping that this will give us enough of a subtle difference. Let's just get that. The biggest problem with this, and this is the problem even when you're doing, when you're working it as the 2 colors, is that you are having to remember to keep the other color out of the way. And actually, I'm not going to do 2 rows. I think it's going to be too noticeable if I do 2 rows. We're just going to stick with 1 row. It's okay for that first one, but I want it to pull up really nicely. So underneath that one, move it out of the way, and come back to my bent needle. And then in opposition. So this one is a more time consuming, obviously. Doing the 2, I know you're saying, why don't I just go through and do it and not worry about the change? Just swap over, because you'll always have a section uncovered if you go ahead and do it that way. Whereas if you're using the 2 needles, like I said, you can use 2 colors, which will give you the stripes. But because it's gives you smooth stripes, again, I'll show you this, because it gives you smooth stripes, that smoothness, you don't end up getting a spiral by using those. Otherwise, you can have a spiral effect going on. So where are we to? We're back to. See, that was the one. So now we're on this one. So it's definitely worth checking our overseas stockists if you are outside of the UK, just in case they might have whatever it is that you want. I don't know about you, but I absolutely hate the changing. I don't think they've changed yet in America, have they? Ah, are you finding it fuzzy? Let's see. It might be my hand moving too much. That's interesting. Let's see if I can change the focus. I think it's still possibly a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I get it focused manually and see if that helps a little. Right. Hopefully that will be a little bit better. Now, some of it may be the streaming, but I suspect it's possibly more to do with, and I'll also add a second light and see if that helps. A second light, a third one actually. But yeah, I really hate the clocks going back. It sets or forward, back, whatever it's just done. I hate it anyways. Messes up my schedule, messes it with my brain. Don't know why they do it. That's great feedback as well, actually, people. I do appreciate that because that teaches something that I need to know about my cameras and my setup. Ugly pump, Charlotte. Not um oh, the word's gone. Not inspiring with all the lumps and bumps then. And so as you can see, I'm just swapping around. I suppose if you really wanted to have a lumpy bumpy pumpkin, you could add some texture threads every once in a while, couldn't you? Oops. Hello. Have another Facebook user come on. I'll just explain that this particular streaming software I'm trying shows me names of people who leave comments on YouTube, but is not showing me the names of those of you leaving comments on Facebook. Whereas the other ones seem to be the opposite way around, although I think I did get a setting wrong last time. So user error is probably more of the thing. And it could be user error on this one too. There may be some permissions that I didn't quite get right. I do like the subtlety of this. I'm not sure if you can see the actual subtlety of the color, but it is actually really quite nice. Gotta love a Yorkshire button, hey? No, well, I'll agree with that. I'm not sure what good it did either. I'll tell you the biggest thing is it really, really messes up with your body clock, and that includes poor old Toby. It's like, feed me. It's time for my walk. No, we've got to go to the new clock time. And he's like, I don't agree with it. Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah. An overdyed buccal would be very nice. That would be very interesting. I like that idea, Charlotte. Again, I don't think I have anything in orange, which is odd, really, because I love orange, but I think that's probably why I don't have an awful lot in orange because I use it a lot. And then I got this brilliant idea while I was cooking dinner tonight. So I suddenly remembered it was Halloween. That's what happens when you don't have kids. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The cats hate the change, the dogs hate the change, and you can't explain it to them. Toby looks at me like, "You've forgotten me. I should have eaten ages ago." Where am I? There I am. Yeah, that's the single reason why we should petition to not have to change the clocks, because our pets don't like it. Seattle. Ooh. So I'm thinking, are you 8 hours behind us in Seattle in California? I get so confused. Yeah, I can imagine the cows get very irritated. Oh boy. So I'm still just weaving over and under. Anyone who's just joined, the reason that I'm working with 2 threads is to get a smoother finish because I've decided I want a pumpkin with subtle bumps, not sort of the ridges that you would get with your the normal Yorkshire button. And so what I'm using is the same design from my book that you would use if you had 2 different colors on these needles. You would get some nice vertical stripes. So it's quite mindful, and it is nice if you get the stripes as well. But I've decided that that will give me enough of a ridge along here without having to worry too much. Oh, hello, Janet. Oh, brilliant. That's interesting. As I said, because I couldn't get, I can't get Facebook usernames on there. Maybe it's seeing the way this particular streaming software talks to Facebook is different. It's nice that it's clearer. Ah, yeah. No, I know the fireworks are not. Toby just barks and barks and barks. Being a country dog, it's just like guns going off as well. He hates that as well. I'm very pleased we're not too close now to anywhere where fireworks sort of go off all the time. But for a while we did live in a small market town, and the fireworks, we were only there the 1 year, but oh, it drove Toby absolutely bananas, the fireworks going. And like you said, they're going off now. They start so early. I suppose it's the same as in the parts of the States when you get around 4th of July, that you're still getting, you get them so much before and so many after. Ah, hello. Thank you. So everyone seems to be enjoying it better on YouTube through this feed. This is a really interesting, um, very interesting feedback. I'd like to always be able to stream to both. Hello, Anne. Thank you. as I do feel that, so many of you over the group and the Facebook group. But then, of course, then there's people who don't even use Facebook who go over on YouTube. So, I'd like to sort of make sure that I try to stay fair. Speaking of the group, very interesting poll happening there about what sort of challenge we have next year. So at the moment, we've got a poll up in our Facebook group, and that poll is what challenge we should do. And so we've got 1 button a week, 1 button a month, 1 technique a month, and then a few others that others of you have added in as well. Now, the 1 technique a month is the one that currently has the most votes. And I find that really interesting because we've pretty much more or less got a technique a month happening as the challenge now, but it's just quarterly. So you get 3 challenges in the 3-month period. So we put them all out early. And not too many of you actually decided that you wanted to do that the way that you did the button of the week the other year. 1 button a week, everybody really seemed to enjoy. So I might take, I don't know if you're over on the group, but Hope had made a suggestion about trying to combine the 2. And I think that may be the way we end up going, so that if you want to do a button a week, you can do that and maybe try a technique if you want, but then have the technique run alongside. Yeah, I've just found it very interesting. Yeah, I must admit, I like the button a week challenge as well. I think that a lot of us were quite enthused by it. Although I wouldn't be able to do the YouTube slideshows this time round for any of it. That took a lot of work. That really did take a lot of work. Yep, I'm definitely getting a nice smooth pumpkin. So we could sort of cheat it and say a button a week, but a button technique, or we could say something completely different and say just have the technique there as well alongside. So there may well be another poll ultimately to try to sort of see what's happening there as well. I don't know. Ideas, ideas, ideas. I mean, really, it's for you guys to, what you want to take part in. I've done this slightly off center, I think, but it doesn't matter for a pumpkin. Most unusual, I usually center these up pretty well. To be honest, Sandrine, I must admit, I think the weekly makes you sit down and actually do it. It's a little bit like when I have done the button a day challenges. You set aside time because you've decided you're going to do it. When you have something that runs over the quarterly, I think you think, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. And then later comes and goes. By the way, Janet, did your market go well? I'm starting to get close to the edge. I'm going to need more thread soon, but thankfully I have plenty. And what I might do, because this is winging it a little bit, I might do something. I might change the stitch up for the bottom. Shall I? Nah, let's just keep going. Oh, that's good. Really pleased. And Sandrine, you've had a workshop recently as well, or is it another one coming up that you're giving? See, I do pay attention. See what you all are up to. In fact, I am not going to add any more thread when I run out. I'm just going to run out. I think it's all right. I've caught one of my spokes there. Okay, and then I nearly did it again. I find myself wanting to hum when I'm doing stuff like this. And I have to remember that I'm actually mic'd up, and you don't want to hear me humming because I cannot hold a tune. Oh, brilliant. I hope they went good. That's the main thing. So long as everybody can have a good laugh. All right. Well, I think I'm about at the bottom. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to knot this at this spoke so that it doesn't get pulled tight. I take this one around as well to get to the same spoke, or as close as I can, slightly shorter piece of thread. And then I'm going to tie this one off as well. And I'm just tying it on the spoke. As I said, it's just so that this doesn't pull with the next step. So before I go any further, thank you, Sue. Yes, Anne, every workshop has to have cake or biscuits or something lovely like that. Okay, so actually I focused it to there, so I can't put it flat on the table. I need to hold it up. Now I want to do a little sort of stem, and I think I'm going to work it as a bullion knot. So do I want brown or do I want what do you think? A sort of stalky color, or shall I go with brown? Let's go with a stalky color. Now, milliner's needles work great for bullion knots. And basically they're long straight needles with a very straight section between from the top down. So there's no sort of widening. If you look at other needles, it widens out at the top, and that can make working bullion knots a little bit difficult. Oh, now I've got everybody said right. Sue says green. Have I got a green handy? I bet I have. See if I've got a variegated. I think that might work nicer then. Let's try this one then. Let's try this color. Something like that. Let's give that a go. Let's see if that will work. I've had a couple of ideas and I don't know if this is going to work. So a milliner's needle is the sort of thing that you really want to make a nice bullion knot. So I've just fastened that off. Now what I'm going to do here. Oh yes, I imagine that to be honest, I am not somebody who fusses too much with needles, which is terrible. I should pay more attention to them. And so if the needle's what I've got, I make it work. And I know that many of you who follow me more regularly know that if my hands are hurting, I go for a long needle anyways, whether it's the correct needle or not, because I find it helps with my arthritis to use a longer needle. The short needle's just impossible if my thumb's flaring up. So I'm going to slide this underneath. It's still on, actually still on the loom. Now, I'm thinking that this is going to work because it'll help stabilize it, and I don't need to worry about trying to hold on to it. And I did put a little knot at the other end. So hopefully by splitting up that thread, that will just hold. So I'm going to do one that's quite close, but long. So I'm just going to bring the needle up quite close to that section. And then I am I've only got a very short space with it. And I'm going to wrap. I'm going to wrap, and I'm going to wrap, and I'm going to wrap. And I often make my bullion knots completely wrong by modern embroidery standards. And that has a lot to do with the fact that I often make them for the top of buttons, because in a slightly different way, because the 16th and 17th century buttons, many of those ball buttons are actually held on by a bullion knot. But because they are covering and they have a wooden form with a hole in the middle, there's no real place to put the bullion knot. So they just kind of place it through the threads at the top. So it's a little bit different than with embroidery, and that's how I tend to do it. But I'm holding on. And if you find that you need to sort of loosen them a little bit, do so, but try not to loosen them too much. So I keep holding and then pull up. Now, because I want this to curl under, I can then take it straight down and come out, and I'm quite pleased that that did work on the top. So shall we put a leaf in as well? Let's put a little leaf in. Let's see, we'll put, just for decorative purposes, shall we put it that side or that side? I quite like that dark, so let's put a leaf in this side. So we'll do a little woven leaf, shall we? So place that down. I'm going to get a pin. This is really winging it, by the way. This is not what I planned at all. So, little pin. And I'm just going to pop the pin somewhere. basically as long as I want the leaf to be. Okay, so I'm going to come up and around, and then I'm going to come back over. So that's the center part of the leaf, over to the side, and then back up. Now I'm going to switch to a blunt needle, so switch to a tapestry needle. And then I'm going to weave. So under, over the center, and under, and then I'm going to come back in the opposite direction. Turn it this way, it'll be easier for me. I'm not touching the orange. I'm just weaving under the green that we're using for the leaf. I suppose by the same reckoning, if we wanted to, whilst it's still on the loom, we could embroider, if you wanted to do it like a jack-o'-lantern and actually be a carved pumpkin, you could probably embroider it while it's still on the loom. But I think I'm going to go for a classic natural pumpkin. Oh, you're welcome, Sandrine. School night, yes. Pure luck, Sue. Usually I end up dropping things when I have a camera. Oh, if you saw how many times I outtake stuff on the recorded videos because I mess up or I get tangled or I stab myself. A couple of videos back, I stabbed myself and didn't realize. Yes, it wasn't very pleasant. So I'm going as far down as I can. And then I'm just going to take that thread through. I'll take it right through the central hole. Take out the pin, and there's your leaf standing up or curling or wherever you want it to go. So now I'll leave that on there until I take this off. Let's take this off of the loom. Now there's something else I want to show you which you may not have ever done. If you get a crochet hook, just going to trim that off a bit. I'm going to start where I tied off. I'm going to start it on the other, the one next to it. So you can go right or left. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go through, and then I'm going to catch the loop next and pull it through. Then the next one and pull it through. So I just split that one. There we go. This yarn's all very nice, but it does split a little. And basically you can just use whatever crochet hook actually fits. I think this is a 2, British sizes, of course. And then chain through to the last one. You can have a flat pumpkin. Now, you have one left. Now that's why I took it to here. So I'm going to take one of these threads back onto my tapestry needle. Through the last loop, the one that was left. Bring it over and hope that your thread doesn't come off your needle. And then I'm going to take it alongside under one of the ridges, just so that it hides the thread, and I'll take the other one through as well, just so that it keeps it nice and tidy. And what that does is that anchors that last loop. And so you could, if you wanted to, use that as a sort of flat embellishment. So you could put it down as just an embellishment, or make a little flat button, or whatever else that you want. Or of course we can make it up into a pumpkin. So, but it's still got that chain edge, and I quite like that. I'm doing that all of the time at the moment. So I'm just going to get some more orange and just do a gather so we can make a wee little pumpkin. So quick knot in my thread, and I'm just going to split the threads here a bit so that I can gather it. I just want to make sure that's anchored well, and then I can just gather through just as you would anyways. But that chain makes quite an interesting little edge finish. Oh yeah, excellent idea. Right. We've had a suggestion from Coin Crow. It could be a lid if you make a bigger bottom pumpkin. I am so doing that later. That is genius. You can make little trinket box, little hidden pumpkin trinket box. That's so cute. So I'm just going to gather up, and I'm going to get a little bit of cotton wool to stuff it. Not much, just a little bit. Might need a little bit more than that. Gather it up. And of course, that crochet edge is not going to be seen doing it this way, but I've shown you it. And so you can sort of use it up for different finishes. And it's really nice. Like I said, if you want some interesting flat embellishments as well, finishing off those loops works great like that. So our wee little Yorkshire pumpkin is complete. Because my focus is about there. I won't put it flat on the... Exactly. Definitely the lumpy bottom where it sat on the ground. But as you can see, the taking it with the weaving, as opposed to making it ridged. If I had done the same, obviously this is a slightly different thread, but the ridge would have been a lot more pronounced. So that is how you can do that. So it could be a button, or it could be a further embellishment. Then from the side are little bits. So that's that. I'll turn the camera around again, I think, and change the focus back so that you can actually see me. Otherwise, I don't know what you'll be looking at. So hang on. Nope, way too close. Hopefully better. Right. That's why I definitely need to use two cameras. It would make life a lot easier if we did that. So thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, the crochet version is really nice, isn't it? It really finishes it off, but it means that you can also, I mean, you could finish it off and take it and use it like a cup, and then you could fill it up like a basket with bullion knots and little flowers and things like that. Or, the bottom half and make another one and make a lid. That's a genius idea as well. So yeah, I think, there's a lot that you can play around with just using that finish. So I thought you might appreciate that. So until the next time, I do really appreciate you all stopping by. I will take on board the different comments and have a look afterwards. As I say, very interesting that it worked better on YouTube on this one than it did on Facebook. So I'll see if I can find out about that. And I'm not 100% sure soon. Probably, I would say about 2 weeks. I'd like to be able to do every 2 weeks, but because I'm trying out different software and I've got trial periods, that's why I'm kind of rushing them through. And so I'll just see which one we go to, and it might be a month, it might be every 2 weeks. So, but anyways, I'll get into a proper schedule eventually. So thank you again, everybody. I really appreciate it. Yes, please hit like. I will do. Thank you, Charlotte. Yes, he'll want his treat now because he's been locked out of the room while I've been talking. Yes. All right then. Thank you, everyone. Bye.